And so we got our hopes up. But then it came crashing down once Steph hurt his hamstring, and it is what it is. Here's what makes this look bad. Butler obviously forced his way out of Miami. We know you didn't want to be a number one option. You wanted to play with somebody who's a number one. You didn't mind being that quote-unquote Robin. Then you go to Golden State, y'all got major success. Steph gets hurt. You got your money. And Joe Lacob and the Golden State Warriors, all they need is one game. See, it ain't like...
Hello everyone, let's have more news about the Warriors, but first don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. Jonathan Kuminga wants more than market value, and it could catalyze a major trade. Kuminga, despite his serious athletic and offensive potential, has never seemed to fully materialize for Golden State. Although he is a serious scoring threat, averaging 26.5 points in games in which he played more than 30 minutes this season, he has never fully earned the trust of head coach Steve Kerr to play within the team's Steph Curry-led system. Dodgers minor league team might have best outfield prospect group in recent history, and other top stories from May 17, 2025. As the Golden State Warriors enter their offseason following a disappointing second-round defeat, one of their most pressing issues, the return or departure of young forward Jonathan Kuminga, has taken center stage. In addition to all of the baggage related to Kuminga's tenure in Golden State, it has recently been revealed by Jake Fisher of Bleacher Report that Kuminga had already turned down a 5-year, $150 million contract prior to the start of this last season. Now, as the team attempts to retain one of their young promising players while operating with limited cap space, this could signify a major issue and perhaps a stunning roster change for the retooling Warriors. Jonathan Kuminga wants more than market value, and it could catalyze a major trade. Kuminga, despite his serious athletic and offensive potential, has never seemed to fully materialize for Golden State. Although he is a serious scoring threat, averaging 26.5 points in games in which he played more than 30 minutes this season, he has never fully earned the trust of head coach Steve Kerr to play within the team's Steph Curry-led system. This issue came to a head this season following the acquisition of Jimmy Butler, when Kuminga was benched for the Warriors' final and most important game of the regular season. However, his resurgence in the playoffs, in which he averaged 20.8 points and 27.4 minutes in 5 games against Minnesota, has reminded fans and the league alike of the room he has to grow and the impact he can have immediately. The Warriors' reported offer is in the range of other promising young players' extensions following the expiration of their rookie contracts. Jalen Johnson of the Atlanta Hawks and Jalen Suggs of the Orlando Magic, who were also first-round draft picks of their respective organizations, both signed near identical deals. Yet, Kuminga evidently had confidence that this year would allow him to prove himself to be of even greater value than Suggs or Johnson, either to Golden State or to another organization. Following what transpired this season, it is highly unlikely that Kuminga receives such an offer from the Warriors again, unless it is part of an agreed-upon sign-and-trade with another organization. Since Kuminga is now a restricted free agent, Golden State is likely to do their best to prevent him from leaving for nothing. Such a trade could net the Warriors key rotation players that could shore up their weaknesses from this season. However, his evidently lofty demands could complicate matters, and they almost certainly preclude a return to Golden State. Now let's go to another video. Don't forget to leave a like.
But it is below the luxury tax threshold, or about $16 million below that at this point, about $25 million below the first apron, and over $35 million below the second apron. So they're in a pretty, solid spot with some flexibility financially to where they can make some solid moves this offseason. Because of that, they have a plethora of pending free agents, including the big story and the big domino to fall this offseason in Jonathan Kuminga, and he is a restricted free agent. So what that means is Golden State is able to match any offer that he would sign from another team to bring him back. Gary Payton II and Kevon Looney are unrestricted free agents. Meanwhile, Quinn Post, Guy Santos, just those two are both team options. Pat Spencer is going to be a restricted free agent, as well as Taron Armstrong, who we never really saw in the Warriors rotation. He's spending his time in Santa Cruz. And then Kevin Knox and Braxton Key's contracts have expired, as well as they were just for the end of the season. Now, where does that leave the Warriors? Well, it leaves them with a couple of exceptions that they can maneuver around, and this is how teams are able to be over the salary cap and still sign a bunch of talent around the league. The Warriors are not over the luxury tax, so they will get the non-taxpayer mid-level exception, which is $14.1 million. They will also receive the biannual exception, which is a $5 million salary that they can give out. Teams don't get that. The teams get that every 2 seasons. They have 2 trade exceptions from Kyle Anderson and I believe one more. I forget who that one is. But an $8 million trade exception, nearly $9 million. That's going to be the one that Golden State could pick up an impact player with. They also have a second-round exception where you could sign your second-round pick and the veteran minimum for those low-level contracts. Maybe Golden State could find a diamond in the rough. But before we get into the perfect offseason, the moves that I think need to be made for Golden State, do you believe in the Warriors front office? Joe Lacob, Mike Dunleavy, even Steve Kerr, Steph Curry, and Draymond Green and Jimmy Butler might have some input as well. Do you believe in the brain trust that is running Golden State right now? Why for yes and for no? Okay, the rumor is that Steph Curry is pissed. He's not happy that Golden State could not win a game without him in the second round against the Minnesota Timberwolves. So what does that mean? Steph is going to be pushing them to improve this roster heavily. And the reports are that probably won't be a swing for a big-time superstar, i.e. Kevin Durant, i.e. Giannis Antetokounmpo. Those type of names might not be in the cards for Golden State because they are very happy with what they saw after the Jimmy Butler trade and the pairing, the 1-2 punch that he and Steph have shown Golden State fans so far. And that also kind of means that Draymond won't be involved in any offseason trades. I don't see Steph being in a position where he'd be okay with getting rid of Draymond. And all that kind of means that Giannis is probably off the table. And there are rumors and reports going out right now that Golden State is not looking to pursue Giannis Antetokounmpo this season. So he will not be a part of our perfect offseason this time around. You would probably have to include one of Jimmy or Draymond to get that done. And even then, I'm not so sure that Golden State would be at the top of the bidding war for the Greek Freak. So
¿Por qué decidimos liberar?
like I said, he's the top domino to fall. Sign and trade Jonathan Kuminga. You cannot let this guy walk for nothing. Listen, I said you should have traded him before the season if you weren't going to give him that contract extension. Whatever, they wrote it out, and they're probably going to pay the price because of it. Not going to be able to get an impact player, or at least a guy who maybe they would have gotten to the caliber before the season started. The issue with Jonathan Kuminga is there is a crossroads with this organization. It doesn't seem like everybody's on the same page about Jonathan Kuminga. What we know is that Joe Lacob is in love with Jonathan Kuminga. He was a part of the reason the Golden State drafted him, and he's a part of the reason the Golden State has not traded him to this point. Mike Dunleavy and Steve Kerr, on the other hand, well, the jury's kind of out on them. We know Steve Kerr isn't super keen on Kuminga's on-court fit with Butler and Draymond, and especially with Steph Curry. Dunleavy is a little bit on the fence. He's talking about, he's being very coy in his exit interview today, talking about it would be great and for Jonathan Kuminga to be a part of Golden State's long-term plans. He said the same thing about Jordan Poole. So I'm not all too worried about Kuminga's what Dunleavy is saying to the media at this point. Lacob, though, that's another hiccup to climb. However, the big picture of this quote that we showed you in yesterday's video is this bottom paragraph. Both sides are expected to explore sign and trade scenarios. And then if you look back to the top paragraph, Joe Lacob is not likely to let Kuminga walk away for nothing. He doesn't anticipate a world, and this is from Marcus Thompson of The Athletic, he doesn't anticipate a world where Lacob lets Kuminga walk and Golden State sees nothing back in return. And this is the quote from Mike Dunleavy from his exit interview, where he said, despite him not playing into playoff games, it's very reasonable and actionable for him to come back. It doesn't seem like, nowhere in this quote does he say, we want him back. He is definitely a part of our future plans here. It's reasonable and actionable, which means it can happen, but it's probably not going to happen. And more evidence suggesting that is Jonathan Kuminga going full ghost on his Instagram right here, blackening out his profile picture. It seems like this marriage is coming to a close, and it didn't work out. And I wish the best for Kuminga elsewhere. It doesn't seem all that likely that he's going to play another game as a member of the Golden State Warriors. So some sign and trade options. Let's start with this one. Kobe White of the Chicago Bulls. Somebody who I don't think is going to be in the long-term plans over there in Chicago. Somebody who makes $12.9 million and is an easier guy to go out there and acquire per the restrictions that exist per Jonathan Kuminga's sign and trade and him being a restricted free agent and all that stuff. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But Kobe White is a player who Golden State could target here as a guy who could another ball handler, another volume scorer, somebody who defenses will go out there and have to guard on a nightly basis. Golden State did not have enough guys in that department this season. So Kobe White is definitely a name that I'm looking out there for. Just 25 years old as well. You could take him into the future. But my guy that I have been beating the drum of all season long, Cam Johnson, go and get him. And this would be a much more difficult name. He is a higher value player than Kobe White is. He makes more money than Kobe White does. And the Nets have money. They can go out there and just sign Kuminga and not have to give up anything. But if Joe Lacob goes out there and threatens to match the offer sheet, then maybe they could be in the business of giving up Cam Johnson. And maybe Cam Johnson himself is in the business of leaving the Brooklyn Nets. At 29 years old, is he going to stick around here for another 5 years of a rebuild? This guy's tasted the NBA Finals already. I would be very keen on bringing him to Golden State because I think he's going to be looking to go out there and win a championship. This will likely have to involve 3 teams, though, with the way that Kuminga's sign and trade rules are structured. His max salary is nearly $40 million, but in a trade, his new salary would count as 50% of what Golden State is sending out, but 100% of what, 100% of what the other team is taking in. So he's probably going to have to involve a third team of sorts, and the financials are going to have to work out in certain different ways. Maybe you have to offload a Buddy Hield contract as well if Cam Johnson's the guy that you're trying to bring in. But bring me Cam Johnson, man. This is a 40% three-point shooter, 6'8", long wingspan, can finish at the rim. He can defend multiple positions, and a very underrated defender at that. This is a big shot taker, big shot maker, man. A 20-point-per-game scorer. And a real 20-point-per-game scorer. Somebody who can go get his own jump shot. Not Jonathan Kuminga, who really just doesn't fit that well in the flow of the offense. Pound dribble, settling for mid-ranges, to contested shots at the rim. No. Cam Johnson takes good, effective, and efficient shots. And that's somebody that I want in this Golden State motion offense. I'm all in on bringing Cam Johnson to the Golden State Warriors by any means possible. And I think that's with the Jonathan Kuminga sign and trade. Next move. Trade another one for Daniel Gafford. And look, this isn't going to be the easiest trade to pull off, but Golden State, they're in the market for a center per Shams Charania. Here's what he had to say about Golden State's offseason plans. He said the Warriors would be incredibly aggressive in the marketplace to go and find help to continue to retool that big 3 of Steph, Draymond, and Jimmy. I'm told their priority is finding a playmaking wing defender or center to add to this group. Playmaking wing defender. That sounds like a really, really good basketball player, and there aren't a lot of those that exist out there. But there are some reports about Daniel Gafford, and with Golden State looking to add size, which they need to go out there and do, Gafford's a guy who I'm willing to bring to Golden State to start at that center position. And per Michael Scotto, who's an NBA insider, Gafford's a trade candidate with him wanting to make a little bit more money from the Dallas Mavericks. They might not have that in their plans or on their books, so maybe he could be a Golden State candidate. And Tim McMahon, who's really, really tapped in with the Dallas Mavericks, says Gafford wants starting center money. Well, right now, we're just focused on trading for him. We'll worry about that more down the line. Daniel Gafford is a walking 15-10. And I, honestly, he didn't have the best season in 2024, 2025. But I think this is a guy who could get an expanded role in Golden State. He has Derek Lively breathing down his shoulder down there in Dallas. And his minutes have been compromised as a result. I think he could really go out there and take the next step in his career. Just 26 years old, Gafford is. And, if you get a guy who's putting up good rim protection, good rebounding, both on the offensive and defensive glass, and double-digit points as a lob threat for Steph, I'm in every single time. And look, this trade idea that I'm throwing out there, Jeffrey Cooperstein, longtime Mavericks fan, is in the producer seat right now, and he says it's a terrible offer. But what I will say is it's an unprotected first, and the Mavs, they're going to be in the Cooper flag market very, very soon here. And with their aging veterans, might as well recoup more draft assets. Maybe Dallas can get Mike Dunleavy to negotiate something after the Steph, Jimmy, and Draymond contracts are up. And Dallas could be looking at a very, very valuable first-round pick down the line. And then you give Moses Moody away to match the salaries. I don't know. It could be the move. Nickeil Alexander-Walker for the mid-level exception is my next move for the Warriors this offseason because this is the playmaking wing defender that you got to go out there and get if you're Mike Dunleavy. This is a guy who has played multiple long playoff runs in a row. I think somebody who's going to contribute to winning on both ends of the floor. A 10-point-per-game scorer. So just you're looking at a top-tier role player here. 40% three-point shooter. Yeah, 38%. I rounded up. Who cares? But somebody who could also handle the rock as well and has really good measurables who can defend, ones, twos, and threes. 6'5", 205, and has that 6'9" wingspan to be able to jump passing lanes and get your hand in there to create deflections and all that good stuff. Like, he's a very, very underrated defender, and he is a good shooter. Not going to blow you away offensively, but a guy who can create defense for offense and then hit that catch and shoot 3, which we all love so much in Golden State. 42.5% on that catch and shoot on 3.5 attempts this season as well. So I'm incredibly bullish on Nickeil Alexander-Walker's two-way ability and ball handling ability for Golden State. Somebody who I think is just a plug-and-play guy in Golden State's system. This is your playmaking wing defender that Shams Charania is going out there and addressing. As far as what Golden State is making a priority this offseason, players like Nickeil Alexander-Walker. But some other guys.
And so we got our hopes up. But then it came crashing down once Steph hurt his hamstring, and it is what it is. Here's what makes this look bad. Butler obviously forced his way out of Miami. We know you didn't want to be a number one option. You wanted to play with somebody who's a number one. You didn't mind being that quote-unquote Robin. Then you go to Golden State, y'all got major success. Steph gets hurt. You got your money. And Joe Lacob and the Golden State Warriors, all they need is one game. See, it ain't like Steph went down like Tatum did, and he's out for the next year at least. It's not like that. Everybody had projected it's going to take about a week. Steph Curry should be back for Game 6. All you got to do, 3, 4, 5, give me one game. And he couldn't do it. 11 shot attempts last night, 20 shot attempts over the last 2 games.
S.A., then, therefore, doesn't this not live up to the expectation?
I'm saying that was the original expectation.
Okay.
What we saw.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. What we saw.
Got it. Okay.
The other stuff, when they were successful, is what we didn't expect.
Correct.
Last night was more of what we expected.
You didn't expect.
Right.
Got it. Copy.
From this standpoint alone, last year they were in 10th. They didn't make the playoffs. This year they started off in 10th when they got Jimmy. They made the playoffs. I would say it worked out from that perspective. But what I'm going to say about Jimmy is, as great as Jimmy is, the playoff Jimmy thing has put Jimmy Butler in a conversation with guys that maybe are a little bit above Jimmy Butler. And sometimes the expectations of Jimmy Butler are the playoff Jimmy Butler expectations all the time. And that might not necessarily be who Jimmy Butler is. Jimmy Butler is a very talented basketball player, but he'll tell you, I'm not the most talented. I'm not the fastest. He is a smart guy. He preys on weaknesses and mistakes. We got to give credit where credit's due to Minnesota. McDaniels was on him. Ant-Man was on him. Randall was on him. He's not a shooter. He needs to get in the paint. When you get in the paint, we have the number one shot blocker and rim protector on him. I think Jimmy Butler gave what he gave, but Jimmy Butler didn't have any more to give against that team. And that's where you see the differences between other guys and Jimmy. Because I've seen guys guard LeBron, and no matter what you do, he gets his. I've seen guys guard D-Wade. No matter what you do, he gets his. Jason Tatum, he gets his. Jaylen Brown, he gets his. Those guys get theirs no matter what you do. Jimmy Butler's not that unstoppable guy like those guys.
Okay, I hear you, but now backtrack me. What was your expectation once this trade happened? Because did it live up to the...
I was on the other side of the trade, so you want to hear what my expectation was?
Tell me.
I wouldn't give a damn what he did over there.
Oh.
I was worried about the side of the trade that we got.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, you guys got some work to do this summer.
Damn, Molly, we gonna go
Well,
there
I'm
now.
just
We
saying, like, you got to...
Ain't
You did
that.
UD, what's the game plan? Like, come on, we got to make things happen.
You heard what Ralph said. We ain't running it back. Tell you that.
Okay.
Look, I like the way you spun it, Essa, even though it took me a minute to catch on. Because I agree. When the trade initially went down, you were like, okay, I guess. And then because of the bump, the Butler bump, so to speak, in the regular season, you thought maybe these guys would have an opportunity to do something. But I'm with you. To me, this is more about Minnesota than it is about Golden State and Jimmy Butler. And I think practically, when you look at that roster, without Steph, you regressed back to who they were in February, and you swapped Jimmy Butler in for Steph. And while Jimmy Butler deserves a ton of kudos and is respected in this league, I don't think anybody's taking Jimmy Butler straight out over an opportunity to play with Stephen Curry.
Right. I just think the thing that, listen, first of all, of course, Minnesota deserves all the credit in the world. I think that right now they should be the favorites to win it all, to be honest with you. But what I'm saying to you is this. Let's encapsulate it on this level, y'all. I need one game. Just one.
I hear you.
We got Steph Curry got hurt early in the game 2. So I got 3 quarters of game 2. And then I got games 3, 4, and 5. We just need one to get Steph Curry back on the court.
I hear you.
If I am an owner and I gave you over $100 million over the next 2 years, I didn't ask for a series. I didn't ask for a berth to the conference finals. I need one game, just one. That is what I think people are going to walk away. We all know Jimmy Buckets and what he can do. We all know what he's done. We all have mad respect and love for him. All I'm saying is you're going to sit up there and ask that one thing. Could you get me one game? Yeah. He couldn't get you one game.
Thundercats over there.
Wait a minute now. You're right. If you don't score, you don't win. But the attempts, remember, we crucified James Harden for that.
Got to hit the top
attempts.
of the hour.
Maybe that's a Steve Kerr conversation.
No, that was in Houston, right?
Yeah, I think he was still playing with that. I think he said something in the media about
we're not doing that.
Nope. Okay, he did say it.
Warriors predicted to target player on Lakers' radar who could depart Dallas. The Golden State Warriors are reportedly eyeing a surprising trade target this offseason, Daniel Gafford, a player already on the Los Angeles Lakers' radar and a name expected to hit the market due to the Dallas Mavericks front court logjam. As Bleacher Report's Zach Buckley explained, Gafford's elite rim protection, rebounding, and vertical athleticism make him a perfect fit for a Warriors squad desperate to fix its size issues after being bullied in the paint by the Houston Rockets and Minnesota Timberwolves. Golden State relied heavily on Draymond Green at center in their small ball lineups, but the lack of a true interior presence was glaring against teams with dominant bigs. While Quinton Post gave them spacing when he hit shots, his inconsistency left the Warriors exposed defensively. Gafford, on the other hand, brings the opposite skill set, an elite rim runner and shot blocker who doesn't stretch the floor but dominates inside. He has averaged 12.3 points, 6.8 rebounds, and 1.8 blocks on an absurd 70.2% shooting from the field and ranked among the league's top 10 in blocks per game, despite playing fewer than 25 minutes per night. His availability stems from the Mavericks' crowded front court, with Anthony Davis entrenched at power forward, Derek Lively II developing as a long-term piece, and Cooper Flagg set to arrive as the #1 overall pick. There's simply not enough room for Gafford. Mavericks GM Nico Harrison is now faced with the challenge of balancing a win-now roster around Davis while nurturing Flagg's development. Trading Gafford, who is on an expiring $14.3 million contract and reportedly seeking a starter-level payday, is viewed as a logical move. The Lakers are heavily interested as well, especially after their playoff flameout revealed glaring holes in their front court. Gafford's chemistry with Luka Doncic last season makes him an ideal addition to the Lakers' new-look roster. However, recent tensions between Dallas and Los Angeles following the blockbuster Luka trade may complicate talks between Rob Pelinka and Nico Harrison. The Warriors, meanwhile, could swoop in as a third-party solution. For Golden State, acquiring Gafford would provide a much-needed dose of physicality and rebounding. He wouldn't require touches to be effective and would immediately boost the defense, something they sorely lacked in the playoffs. The Warriors still want to compete while Stephen Curry remains elite, and Gafford could be an affordable piece that helps them stay relevant. Dallas, on the other hand, may prioritize backcourt help in any Gafford deal. With Kyrie Irving likely out until 2026, the Mavs are shopping for a shot-creating guard. If the Warriors were to offer someone like Moses Moody, along with salary filler and a protected future pick, it might be enough to tempt Dallas into avoiding another Lakers negotiation. Ultimately, Gafford is becoming one of the most valuable trade chips on the market, a cost-controlled, playoff-tested big man with no ego and proven production. The Warriors see what the Lakers do. He's exactly the type of center who can thrive next to elite guards like Curry or Doncic. Whether Golden State can beat the Lakers to the punch may come down to who's willing to give up more to solve their size problem. And you, fan, what do you think about Daniel Gafford's situation? Leave your opinion in the comments.